Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. My name is Darren Shapiro. I'm the Director of New Business Development for a company called Sinclair Broadcast Group. Now, on every slide that I put up there, what I want you to do is pay attention. There's usually one or two really, really important things on each slide. And on this slide, the most important thing is it says Integrated Marketing Solutions. And I want to talk about that for a moment. Now, I've been in the TV industry for 30 years. And I've been working with Sinclair Broadcast Group, the company who owns the Fox station here, for 23 years. So if there's one thing I could say about the TV business is I know the TV business. But I've also seen in 23 and 30 years, the TV business has changed. And because the TV business has changed, I actually will be talking to local businesses differently because the TV business has changed, but then again, the economy has changed. And you all know that in 2009, which is only a few years ago, the economy dropped off the face of the earth. In fact, the entire United States went into the deepest recession they've seen in many, many years. You experienced it, right? So what happened was Sinclair Broadcast Group, the company I work for, literally lost $100 million of revenue. That's like a Dr. Evil number, right? $100 million. Well, what happens is I'm the Director of New Business Development, so of course I get called into the room and like, okay, Shapiro, what's up? What are we doing? And the first thing I did was I said, we got to do some focus groups. And what focus groups do, I don't know if you've ever been in one or know what they are, we went out and did focus groups. And first we took all these small businesses and we asked the small businesses, what's going on? Like you, people who run their business, own their business. They said, people are stopping spending money. And then we went to the consumer and a different focus group. And you know what we asked them? What's going on? And they said, we're still spending money, but we're taking advantage of the fact that right now the only thing we're going to spend money on is stuff that we need. So what I realized was this wasn't a recession. This was a consumer-driven recession. People stopped buying cars, stopped buying houses. People stopped going out to eat as much. People stopped doing things that some of you businesses need them to do. But you know what they kept doing? They kept on taking care of their kids. They kept on taking care of their current houses. They kept on taking care of their cars, their pets. So what you're really looking at is the way this recession has come out of the recession. We're still kind of in it, but is consumers. Consumers' habits have changed. So when I talk about integrated marketing solutions, what I'm really talking about is how do consumers act? Now, Sinclair isn't just one of your run-of-the-mill companies. We own or operate 134 television stations in 69 markets. In fact, we just purchased 38 television stations in the last 6 months. We spent $1 billion. I'm just throwing big numbers out there. I'm going to say gazillion in a moment, but we spent $1 billion. This is the best stuff I got. So if you don't like that one, this doesn't get much better than that. But we did. We spent $1 billion on TV stations because we believe in television. But we also believe in another thing. The thing about us is we're not affiliated with just Fox. And the way our industry works is we buy television stations, but the signal is what we're buying. The license is what we buy. But the programming we run comes from programmers like syndicators, the news operations, and the networks. So we're affiliated with all networks. I'm not here to tell you how great Fox is or how great NBC is or ABC. That's nonsense. Those are our brands. What I'm actually here to do is talk about something more important. The word partnering with local businesses or the word partnering gets thrown around a lot. But when I look at what we do for a living, and I grew up in this business, we used to go into businesses like you and say, what are you doing with your marketing? And they say, I'm in the Yellow Pages. We say, Yellow Pages suck. You got to be on TV. So I don't say that anymore. But Yellow Pages do suck. But I don't say that anymore. I really don't, because I think all marketing works. It's just a matter of what you need it to do. The most important thing that I can offer you today is a compelling alternative to what you're doing. But ultimately, I'm looking at integrated marketing solutions. But here's the concept. On this sheet, this is the most important thing. You have to use marketing that truly mirrors consumer behavior. Consumers are the ones that come to you. Television isn't magic. Marketing isn't magic. What the magic is how does the consumer react? So when I take a look at businesses, and I travel the country 47 weeks out of the year, every week I'm on the road in front of businesses like you. And every week I'm on the road in front of 15 to 20 businesses every single time. So I've seen 1,000 businesses in the last 8 months. And I've picked up things from them. But in the same breath, what I do is I like to go around the room because we have a nice intimate group. I'm not a talking head. I'm not going to do like a Britney Spears thing with the microphone and You know Britney Spears. You don't know what Britney Spears is? How about some of you remember Madonna? Anyone under the age of 40, please leave. But what is your main source of marketing? And I want to clarify what that is. What is it that you currently use, especially if you're not using TV, as your main source of marketing? What would you do? What would you say? What is your main source? Word of mouth. What about you, Dana?
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth again. We got a lot of people trusting word of mouth.
Word of mouth?
Look, if I start with him and you just keep saying the same thing he said, I'm going to start with this guy on this side.
He's not important.
It's a word of mouth. Oh, well, I asked you too, but you're in the same biz. Whatever he said, is that what you're going to say?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say.
Is that what you were going to say that?
Yeah.
What about you?
Probably local print.
You do local print, okay. What kind of, what I got some people behind you, businesses, and I'm going to come back to you.
Radio.
Radio. Yeah, that's TV without pictures, you know. Word of mouth. Social media. I love when people say, she said it like, and I know what it is. Like, 20 years ago, social to me meant like a social disease. Remember that? West Side Story? What up? Okay. Social. Ah, yeah, here we go. Here we go.
Social media, Google.
Oh, okay, okay. Using a couple of brands out there, throwing the brands out.
Our website.
There's internet, online.
Social media.
Yeah, it makes, and a lot of times the reason why people are, first of all, word of mouth, that's a consumer-driven marketing. Social media is just another fancy name for word of mouth, by the way. I'll get to that later. Oh, yes?
I would say word of mouth and internet.
Yes, okay, makes sense.
We're on the back of our register receipts.
Yes, so you print, but you're doing point of purchase. That's a point of purchase marketing, right? Somebody got their wallet out when they get a receipt. That's a good thing. Okay, so when I'm going to talk specifically about consumers, let's talk about the kind of consumers you're trying to reach. Now, I don't know all of you. I've met some of you. I heard what your businesses are. But let me tell you, in marketing, there's only 3 types of consumers. 3. First consumer, obviously, is a real world consumer, not made up that TV guy will tell you. The first person is a consumer with an immediate need. Let me explain that what that is. My roof is leaking. I need a roofer. Who here is trying to reach, has a business that's trying to reach a consumer with immediate need? You got, okay, there you go. Second kind of consumer is the consumer with a long-term need. Once again, if I'm living in a house for 20 years, eventually my roof's going to leak. Now you got to pay attention to that story, right? So I got immediate need, my roof is leaking, I need a roofer. Long-term need, my roof's eventually going to leak. But then there's the third kind of consumer and the third kind of marketing. It's called consumer with a perceived need. Now I'll give you an example. I mean, when I was growing up, if you wanted to brush your teeth, you bought Crest or Colgate. And now, if you want to really brush your teeth, you should be worried about whitening your teeth, because whitening your teeth is going to make your world so better, much better, doesn't it? It's a $2 billion industry, people whitening their teeth. Well, when I was a kid, whitening teeth was like Pearl Drops. Do you remember that commercial, Pearl Drops? And the girl would like lick her lips. It was the wacky 70s, but girls were licking their lips, You remember that? You do? I'm going to do all kinds of commercials later. So if you are marketing to these kind of people, these kind of consumers, you must market to them constantly and consistently. There's a difference. See, constantly means you got to be in front of them all the time, because if your roof's leaking and you don't know who to call, you've lost that consumer. But then again, if your roof's not leaking, you should be telling them you're a roofer and if you need me. You get it? You get it? But the consistently means, what is your message? What is it you're really trying to convey? I know you're open for business, but what is it that you do? What is it that you do better than the others? So there's a difference between constant and consistent, but there is an issue here about a creative approach. Looking at it from the angle, because that's that perceived need. I mean, does everybody, does a haircut really change the way your life is? Does a new pair of shoes really make the difference? I mean, my wife likes Louis Vuitton bags. I don't know how much better our lives are from the $800 pocketbook I just bought her. Her life's much better. But there's no women in here that like Louis Vuitton? You know who Louis Vuitton is? French guy. Doesn't the LV he puts on there, that's like lousy vinyl. You didn't hear that before? Okay. So here's what happens. If you are marketing Wouldn't it be great that every time somebody wants to reach you, you're there, right? Do you feel you're there when a consumer wants you? How does a consumer talk to you? What, is it through a phone? Do they walk into your office or do they call phone first? What about you?
Going through a third party.
Third party, but they're going to contact you through a phone first? How do you get a contact?
Phone or email.
Phone or email? They'll walk through because you have a location, a destination. Call?
Yeah, calls or just walk in.
How many locations?
Oh, just one.
Just one, okay.
Call or walk
What kind of business?
Restaurant.
Restaurant, okay. Call because you have a location business. Email, but again, you don't have a storefront, right, that people walk into. What about you? What's your business?
Law firm.
Law firm, okay.
Email or
Email or phone call. So how are they going to get your email?
website.
They go to the website. What kind of business?
It's a vet facility, so I guess eventually they come in. But
You're a vet facility
yeah.
for like people in the army? I'm being silly. You're for pets, right? Vets?
Event.
Oh, events. I'm sorry, I'm not lit. Look, here's what happens. You have to speak with your outside voice when you talk to me. Don't you hear how I am? I'm like, what?
Walk-in or phone call.
And what kind of business?
It's a nonprofit.
Nonprofit, okay. Nonprofit.
Pregnancy center.
Oh, okay. Understood. Understood.
I would say phone calls or walk-ins.
What kind of business?
Chiropractic.
Chiropractic. Okay, good enough. Now, the very last thing on this chart is, I think, the most important. The key to advertising working is that when you are advertising, are the consumers there? So when you look at the fact that you have a website, and I hate to burst anybody's bubble, having a website is not advertising. The website's almost like a destination point. It's like having a store. People don't casually find you on the web. They don't. And if you're in the yellow pages, or even if you're direct mail, it's not really the kind of advertising that allows you to be there, make the consumer be there when you advertise. All right, so let me tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in 1960, and I grew up in New York City. And when I was a little boy, I was 9 years old, I lived in the city, and we lived in an apartment. My dad was a plumber, my mom was a secretary. We had a little apartment. I only remember one thing. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I came home from school, and there was just this one big black and white TV set in my house. And I was my dad's remote. So everybody remember that? Get up, change it. What did everybody grow up rich? You grew up rich or something? Actually, when we got a little bit of money, my parents bought something called a clicker. So everybody remember the clicker? It actually clicked, right? Do you remember? Okay, everyone under the age of 35, gone. Gone. A clicker. You don't remember that? It's called a remote now, but my parents still call it a clicker. Do you know?
We
Yeah.
never had a clicker. We were
You were.
poor, so.
Wait a minute. We were so poor. So what happened was, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when I came home, I was a little boy, I was 9. I remember that TV set became mine because my dad wasn't home yet. And I watched cartoons. But see, when I watched cartoons, I don't remember the cartoons. I remembered something that I actually really remember happened. Every time a commercial came on, I became a voracious consumer. I mean, a commercial came on for Count Chocula, I wanted it, right? I wanted Converse sneakers, a Schwinn bicycle. Oh, I wanted a hula hoop, silly putty. This was the cool stuff, right? Dueling, boxing robots, whatever they had, right? Battleship. Point is, though, I'm 53 years old, and I am a voracious consumer of goods and services. I no longer have to ask my parents for money, right? I'm waiting until my kids don't have to ask me for money. What's with that? When do they get off the payroll? Don't say never. My father said, you're out at 18. I was like, you're out. Now, my mom let me come back in, but my dad said, you out. See? That beat your story.
I've got an 18-year-old son.
Yeah, I got 3 boys, and yeah, as long as he's not 38 years old, right? So,
He's working.
okay, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So here's what happens, right? I'm a consumer because I'm watching TV. I'm a consumer of programs. But at the same time, this is the 1960s. Television wasn't around a long time. The commercials that came on made me want to buy stuff. It's the truth. It still does. Still does. But I remembered a marketer, and I look back because now I'm in the marketing business, and I thought he was an ingenious marketer. And what he did was he was an innovator. He was a pioneer of television, and his name was Ron Popeil. And what he did was he promoted his product. He had this product called the Popeil Pocket Fisherman. All right? So let me tell you about the Popeil Pocket Fisherman, because this is how he did it. He put the commercial on TV, and he would put the commercial on and say, I have the Popeil Pocket Fisherman. It's a fishing pole that folds. Now, the first thing anyone knows that fishes, if your fishing pole folds, it's not a good fishing pole. So here we are. It's a fishing pole that folds. You can put it on your belt, has a secret compartment for lures, and you can buy it at Woolworths for $9.95. Does everybody remember Woolworths? It's called Target now. So anyway, so here I am, a little boy, and I wanted this product. Now, didn't I tell you where I grew up? I grew up in New York City. There are no ponds in New York City. There are sewers in New York City. But that's a perceived need. But he used TV to tell me not only what it was, but what it did, where to find it, and how much it cost. And in those days, there was no internet. There was no social. There was just money. And money that you could go to a store and buy. So I went with my parents to Woolworths. But pay attention to what this guy did. Genius. So you get to Woolworths, and there's tons of stuff at Woolworths, right? There's wool, there's underwear and swimsuits, whatever they had, right? But this guy didn't just let you try to find the product. He put the product on the end of aisle, because the end of aisle display means it's in your face. So remember I talked about constant and consistent? He was on TV, because this is the 60s, on TV, and at the store, where was he? End of aisle. Now, just because he was the end of aisle didn't mean everyone knew the product, but everyone saw the product. But I wanted the product. So now I come in and I point to it because my parents are with me. They don't see it on the cartoons. They don't watch cartoons. And I say, I want it. And they say, what is that? But the first thing they notice isn't that it's $9.95. The first thing they don't notice is that it's a peel packet of fisherman. The first thing they notice is a sign that's right next to the product. Now, I know you've seen this sign, and I know you've seen it, and I know you've seen it for many years, but let me tell you about the justification of this sign. There is no such thing as a sign that says, as seen on the internet, as seen in word of mouth, as seen on radio. Can't see anything on radio, by the way, just seeing if you're paying attention. So local businesses need to be on television because television brands your business. I said we're a Fox station. That's our brand. But you conjure up in your head what it is. I know some of you said you're in the law, you're lawyers or event planning, chiropractors. Don't be so sure everybody knows because you have a name that you're a brand. A brand not only justifies your business, but television adds instant credibility. You need someone to give you their money? Put your business on TV. Instant credibility. You know what the Sham Wow is? Do you know what the Snuggie is? I've got the leopard one, chicks dig it. How do you know it? How do you know it? Television. How do you know it? Brand. But it also influences buying habits. It creates a need that might not be there, but it absolutely fills the need that is there. If you're looking to grow your business, if you're looking to grow your potential in marketing, you must have a campaign that absolutely influences what I would call share of mind. We have an extremely fragmented media universe right now. Television cuts through all the clutter, and it absolutely is the only way to brand your business. The internet does not brand. Okay? The internet has its own brands, right? Google, Facebook, whatever. So if I'm looking at going for branding, and right now, remember, a name isn't a brand. Okay? McDonald's doesn't mean hamburgers. McDonald's to you means hamburgers because it's just a name. So it's because of their brand awareness. So if I'm going to talk about brand awareness, I have to talk about how consumers think. So let me do this. So I don't live in Des Moines, Iowa. Des Moines is a very nice place. I kind of like Ankeny.
Yep.
I like Ankeny. Right? Is there an Ankeny around here? Right? I just like saying Ankeny. It's Ankeny. It's nice. It's nice. That's where that guy who created Roundup, he lives out there. Alba. I like saying that too. Ankeny, Alba. Has its own golf course out there. Tuscany something. I've been there. What up? What's that? That's right. I really have. So let's make believe I buy a house out in Ankeny. It's a nice area. And I kind of like to do stuff myself. I'm kind of a do-it-myself kind of guy. But I realize I get a good deal in the house because it has termites. So the first thing I do is I tell my wife, you got to call Terminex. Because that's what you do when you have termites. You got to get an estimate. Who in here gives estimates? Anybody else give an estimate for business? Of course you do. So they're getting the first call. But I also tell my wife, call Orkin as well. You've heard of Terminex and Orkin, right? Now, I don't live here. You guys do, right? So tell me straight up, Who's the third guy I call after Terminex and Orkin? Who's the third guy? Who's the third guy? All right, let me go deeper. Who's the fourth guy? I'm sorry, who's the fifth guy? Oh, sorry, you just lost the business. You see, if I stop 100 people in downtown Des Moines and I ask them to name 3 chiropractors and you're not one of them, you're done. Staffing services, nursing services, veterinary services, you're done. So you don't need an exterminator today, but you all know Terminex and Orkin. So there was this guy, actually when I was a little kid, there was this company called Budweiser. Ever hear of them? Yeah, Budweiser's the king of beers. Always has been, always will. Budweiser continues to market their product. In fact, they're the #1 marketer in the Super Bowl every year. They spend millions of dollars. Now, what is it that they're really marketing? They're not trying to brand their business. They got the brand. They don't ever have to advertise again in the free world. But they have a competitor called Miller, and they're beating them. Who are these guys trying to beat? Yeah. So do you have competitors to your business? Do you? Do you? Of course you do. Some of you actually believe. Some people go, nope, I'm the best. It always says that on the pizza box when you buy pizza. You've tried the rest? Not tried the best. So the bottom line, though, is brands is what drives this. And if you believe you have a arch nemesis, then your marketing might have to be that kind of marketing. You might have to market based on the fact that how many places can I go and spend $100 on dinner on Saturday night? How many places? Is there a lot of places I could take my wife? Right, and because the economy's not that great, I'm not taking her out every night, and I'm not taking her out every week. But the twice a month that we go out for a $100 dinner, you want me to spend it with you. Well, what's going to make me come there if I've never been there? Well, there was this chubby guy running around on TV when I was a kid, and he used to say, hey, it's time to make the donuts. Time to make the donuts. You remember him? Time to make the donuts. You remember him? Yeah, Dunkin' Donuts. What does Dunkin' Donuts say they market now? Yeah, this is not a picture of a jelly donut. America runs on Dunkin'. Dunkin' Donuts sells coffee, mocha, cucaracha, chaka, or whatever they're selling. McDonald's sells coffee. Subway sells breakfast, right? $5, $5. Foot long. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, my uncle on my mother's side. He's a little bit younger than I am. So here's what I'm telling you. Why is Subway selling breakfast? I don't eat Subway. I'm not going there for breakfast.